bump into a chair and you say sorry. Someone steps on your foot and somehow you're the one apologizing. You send a message, then immediately follow it with sorry to bother you. You apologize for crying, for asking a question, for taking up space, for existing a little too loudly in a quiet room. People roll their eyes and tell you to stop. They call you a pushover, a doormat, weak. And privately, you wonder if they're right, if there's something broken in you that flinches before anyone has even raised their voice. But the diagnosis is wrong. You are not weak. You are a Fawn-type peacekeeper. Therapist Pete Walker named 4 responses to threat, and most people only know 3: fight, flight, and freeze. The 4th is Fawn, where you survive danger by keeping the people around you calm and pleased. That's not a poetic label I invented. It's the real mechanism underneath everything you've been mocked for. Today we'll look at what may be happening in your nervous system when that apology slips out, and why it's a skill, not a flaw. Here's the first thing nobody tells you. Somewhere early on, you learned that anger in a room was dangerous, and that the fastest path to safety was to smooth things over before they exploded. So your nervous system wired a shortcut. Sense tension, dissolve it, get ahead of the blame. That reflex didn't fail you, it protected you, probably when you were far too small to protect yourself any other way. The peacekeeper was born in a place where peace genuinely wasn't guaranteed. But there's a deeper layer, because this was never only about fear. It's about how finely you read other people. What looks like over-apologizing often overlaps with high interpersonal sensitivity, an unusual attunement to the tiny shifts in someone else's mood. You catch the half-second pause before a reply. You notice the smile that doesn't reach the eyes, the slightly clipped tone, the energy in a room changing the moment you walk in. Researchers point to affective empathy, the capacity to actually feel a flicker of what another person is feeling. Many people move right past these signals. You tend to absorb them. So the question becomes, what does your nervous system do with all that information it's picking up? It tries to repair. And here is where it gets genuinely impressive. Relationship researchers have a name for the small gestures that pull a conversation back from the edge before it becomes a fight. They call them repair attempts. A quick apology, a softened tone, a "wait, I didn't mean that the way it sounded." Studies of couples suggest the difference between relationships that last and ones that fall apart isn't whether they argue, it's whether they can repair. You're a natural at it. While other people are still defending their position, you're already reaching across the gap, restoring the connection. You move first, because on some level, you value the bond more than you value being right. There's one more thread, and it explains the part that feels most out of your control. Why does the apology fire before you've even decided to make it? For many chronic apologizers, the engine underneath is what psychologists call rejection sensitivity, a heightened expectation that you're about to be disapproved of or pushed away. So you brace preemptively, like an umbrella opened before a single drop has fallen. It feels anxious from the inside. But flip it around. Rejection sensitivity is the shadow side of caring deeply whether the people around you are okay. You're not paranoid, you're profoundly invested in belonging, and that investment is the foundation of every close bond you've ever built. Now let me be honest about the cost, because pretending there isn't one would insult you. When every interaction begins with self-blame, people start to believe it. They learn to hand you the fault, because you keep reaching for it. You shrink. You take responsibility for moods that were never yours to carry. You exhaust yourself managing the emotional weather of everyone in the room, while nobody manages yours. And slowly, you can lose track of where other people end and you begin. A skill used without limits stops being a gift and becomes a cage. So here's the image I want to leave you with. Your apology reflex is a smoke detector that was installed in a house that was at one time genuinely on fire. It was right to be sensitive. It kept you alive, but you don't live in that burning house anymore. The detector is still wired to the old danger, shrieking at burned toast, at steam, at nothing. You don't rip it out, because that sensitivity is precious. You recalibrate it for the safer home you live in now. Here's how you start. First, swap the apology for gratitude. Instead of "sorry I'm late," try "thank you for waiting." Same warmth, none of the self-erasure. Second, before the apology leaves your mouth, ask one quick question. Did I actually do something wrong, or am I just feeling tension? If it's only tension, let it exist without claiming it. And third, practice sitting in 3 seconds of someone else's discomfort without rushing to fix it. That pause is where your power lives, because you were never weak. You are a Fawn-type peacekeeper, learning at last to keep some of that peace for yourself. If this named something you felt your whole life, stay a while and explore the other videos here, where we keep turning the things you were taught to hide into the things that make you remarkable. Subscribe, and let's keep overthinking together.